Hello friends and welcome to the channel. So I typically post planner and journaling content, and sometimes I'll share like my sketchbooks and things of that nature. I thought today I bought this watercolor book. It says it's from Hobby Lobby for $25. I actually found this at Second and Charles. I'm trying to remember. There is a receipt in here. I feel like it was like $6 or $7 maybe. But it is it's called Watercolor the Easy Way by Sarah Berenson. And it's saying 30-minute projects. And I thought it would just be fun on the days that I do this to just share with you guys. Oh, there went the receipt. I just saw it. Here it is. I got it for, it's $7. But anyway, I thought what I would do is when I'm looking or when I'm painting out of this book is kind of like a tutorial. I would film it and share it with you guys here on YouTube if anyone is ever interested in trying to paint. I want to say it's not as hard as you think it is. Watercolor is a lot of fun, in my opinion. I've been watercoloring since 2022, so we're looking at 3 years. I am not a trained artist. For the longest time in my life, I didn't think I could draw, to be honest with you guys. So I thought today we would start with something very simple, which is this popsicle. And I'm going to sketch it out in pencil because I'm going to do like multiple, I think, paintings on one page in my sketchbook. And I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to sketch out, and just kind of, I want to make drawing and art accessible, I guess, to people, because I used to think that I could not draw, that there was no, art is not for me. But I'm a big believer in art is for everyone. If you can kind of look at anything you create as beautiful, but also kind of look at things like through shapes, right? So I just wanted you guys to know this is going to be off to the side. I'm going to be painting. And so basically, like, what we're talking about here is, in this book, I'm not going to go into super details. But again, I've found it used. So it talks about mixing colors, color theory, complementary, secondary, tertiary colors, how to darken colors. I don't know that I agree with her like adding black to darken colors. I'm gonna use complementary colors on the color wheel. But it talks about basics like wet on dry, layering, wet on wet, how to wet the paper, all of that. But I want to make it as simple as possible. So we're going to start with this popsicle, and then the next one I do, whenever that is, will be an ice cream cone. So this is going to be off to the side. I'm going to quickly review my supplies. You don't need anything fancy, y'all. When I first started watercoloring, I used like tube paints that were trash that I bought from Hobby Lobby. And I created some really nice art. I still don't use very expensive. I have expensive paints. I do have like tube, like Winsor Newton Cotman paints. But this is a Mungyo. It's very dirty. It needs to be cleaned so bad. But this is a Mungyo set I got off of Amazon. I think it was like a gift for my birthday. I think I asked for it for my birthday one year. They're half pans, but I've been using this for almost 3 years now, and I haven't emptied not one color in here. And I want to say it's like a $40 palette for all these paints. It's pretty affordable. I also have a spray bottle, and typically what I do is, because watercolor is activated by water, right? Is I have this spray bottle. This is from Dollar Tree, and it has water in it, and I just spray my paints down and let them get good and wet, let the water soak in, so that way they're easy to use. Pretty simple. I also have this sketchbook. This is a Strathmore sketchbook. Fairly inexpensive. It's called an art journal. It's not 100% cotton, so we're not gonna have the best color bleeds, but it'll be fun. This is my little sketchbook here. So I'm gonna I don't have a whole lot of room on my desk. Sorry if I bumped the tripod. I'm trying to set this to where everything is at least visible on camera. I also always have paper towels, and I'll use them quite a bit to tap my paintbrushes. Kind of have my palette in the background. Let's see if I can maybe shift you guys over a little bit. There we go. Is that better or worse? And then I have this, this is like a pencil container that's clipped together, but it has like two things. So I have like two things of water, basically. And then I'm trying to think what paintbrushes I want to use. I could probably get away with, I have a 10, a 6, and let me find my long round for more detailed work. Is it in here? Did I lose it? Oh, here it is. I have a Princeton 8 long round. These are all, this is the Neptune series, which these are very thirsty brushes. They hold a lot of water. This is a long round. I'm probably going to need a new one soon, but it has a tip that for fine detail work, which I like. So I always wet my brushes up and just kind of tap them on the side a little bit, so that way they're ready to go. Okay, so let's draw and paint a popsicle. I stand when I paint. So it's just, for me, it's easier. I find that the perspective of like standing and painting is a lot, I don't know, it's like easier than sitting, because I can like see it from a different perspective. So, I mean, y'all, it's a simple shape, right? So we're kind of making like, let's see, I'm going to draw my 2 parallel lines like so. Make it easy. Also, this is a HB brush. I bought it in an art set. So I'm going to do 2 parallel lines, right? And I also have a kneaded eraser in case I mess up. I like, when I'm doing something like this, I try to sketch it. And then the corners are kind of rounded. So let's round these bad boys. See how this goes. Oop, oop. Sketch is just an idea of how you want it to look. Okay, and then let's round this bad boy up. Woo, woo. Okay, yep, easy peasy, right? And then we'll make these little round doohickey bobs. Is it perfect? No, it doesn't matter. And then we'll draw like another set of lines like so. Right, these are just guidelines, and we'll round it again, and then we just got like a little popsicle stick. Is that center? Pretty center? Close enough? That's gonna be a really big popsicle stick. Hold on, let me erase that. Let's bring it in a little bit more. There we go. See, that's why pencils have erasers, y'all. And we'll bring our little parallel line down. And we'll do a little scoop, a little half circle there, and voila, a popsicle. We drew a popsicle. Cool. And then, so what I'm going to do, because once you put watercolor on pencil, y'all, you can't erase the pencil, okay? So I like a kneaded eraser. I think this is a Faber-Castell. What I like about these, what is on my finger? Probably, I don't know, is they're kneadable, number one. So like if you have like a bunch of like graphite or pencil on it, you can just kind of move it. But also like you can knead it into shapes you want if you want to like get to a certain just little crevice. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and you can use a regular pencil. Another thing I like about the kneaded erasers is it doesn't leave like the rubber on it like traditional erasers do. So are we going to make the popsicle pink? That's the fun part, y'all. You can use whatever freaking color you want to. So I don't know if I'm going to like follow exactly what this thing says or tells me to do, but I am going to paint it pink. Okay, cool. You can kind of see it, but not really. So I'm going to take my bigger brush, which is my number 10. I'm going to dip it in some water, and I'm going to reach over here, and I'm going to grab some of this pink here. There's like stuff in it. Okay, so in watercolor, to get a color really light, you don't add white like you do in other mediums. You just add water to it. So more water, less paint to get the lighter wash, okay? Again, I'm not an expert, y'all, but you know. So I've got some paint on the brush. I'm going to stick it in the water, and I'm going to, so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. I'm just going to take some of the extra water off of my brush, and you can kind of, it's like a little dance, right? If you feel like you have too much water on your brush, you can also dab it on your paper towel. Look at that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a full wash in pink. Get it nice and wet because we're going to do some color bleeding and make it a good time. So a little bit of water. Now I live in a very humid place, so I feel like stuff doesn't stay wet for long. Also, this is not high quality watercolor paper. It's not 100% cotton, so it's not going to bleed the same way that like more expensive paper bleeds, but we're going to make it work. So you see, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just filling in the shape here. Y'all freaking who. Okay, so if you want to put some highlights in, what you can do is you can rinse off your brush, have a clean brush, tap it on your paper towel like this, and you can lift some of that paint up. Beauty of watercolor. Look at that. You can just lift it up, tap it on your brush. Okay, so let's do some fun little purples. So instead of actually mixing purple, I'm going to take some of, I don't know what blue this is, but it's a blue. And I'm going to mix my own purple with the pink that I already have because that's fun, right? So maybe a little bit more. And I'm just mixing pink in this blue to kind of make this like very cute plummy purple. It's still a pinky purple, right? And I'm just going to come in here and maybe drop some of this in here for funsies. Maybe here, down here. Oop, kind of went offline, didn't I? Okay, rinse my brush. I'm going to tap it, and then I'm going to lift a little bit and just kind of move it around. It doesn't have to be perfect, y'all. That's what I like about watercolor. And then now, look at all these different color variations that we have in here. This is what, a little bit of wet on wet. Okay. And if we wanted some more pink, right? Maybe we want some pink down here. We want it to be a little bit more pinky. We can just drop some pink in. Just have fun. That's the fun part. It doesn't have to be perfect. So say you wanted some more highlights. Let's rinse our brush. We're going to tap it. And let's just lift a little bit here. Let's maybe lift a little bit here. And then let's kind of just smooth this out. So and like so, because it's a mess. Okay, yay, look at that. Isn't that something? Okay, so we're gonna let that dry for a little bit before we start adding our next. So that was wet on wet when we took the purple and we dropped it in. Now watercolor typically dries lighter, so I want you guys to remember that. These are all things that I wish I had learned. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna grab this brown. It's kind of like a you know, I should know the names of these colors, and I can tell y'all. Let me see. Because I swatched these paints. That brown that's burnt umber. Okay. Burnt umber is a great brown, by the way. Next to it is Van Dyke brown. So I'm just going to take a very light wash of this. Now I'm going to be very careful coming up to right here because the paint is still wet and you don't want the brown to bleed in. But I'm just going to take some of this brown and I'm going to kind of get it a little bit wet. Might dab a little bit on my paper towel. Look at that pretty brown. It's also dabbing. Ellen Crumey Trent taught me this. She's a YouTube content creator that is an excellent artist, and she's like, if you want to see what a color looks like, you can easily dab it on your paper towel just to kind of see, and also to control the water, because that is one of the most important things that you can do in watercolor is water control. Okay, cool. So look at my popsicle stick. There it is. Okay. All right, I gotta open my book back up. I'm not going to follow the directions exactly, but it's nice to have a reference photo. That's another thing that I would say is if you are able to have reference photos, it's kind of helpful. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to do, maybe, is I want to fill in like those little parts in there. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the same color pink. And y'all don't be like me and leave your brushes in the water because it can damage them. I'm really bad about that. It's a bad habit of mine. Okay, so to get it darker, right, we're just going to do more pigment, less water. That's how you basically make darker values in watercolor. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to follow this line. I can't really see mine anymore, but that's okay. And if I find that it's too much, I can always add some water to my brush, give it a little tappy tap, and we can also blend this out eventually. But let's go in here and we're going to just kind of follow this line. Because we can add more, and then we're going to follow this line, make it a little bit thicker. This is the 8 long round. It's a good time. Look, see, not perfect, not perfect. Okay, we're going to wash off our brush. We're going to tap it, and then we're just going to blend this out. How fun. Okay, we're going to do the same for the other side. I may have to pick up some paint here and re-wet this, but look at that. We just picked up some water and a little bit of paint and tapped our brush, and voila. Look at that. So we got that part done, right? Nice little lines. Okay. This is what we call wet on dry. And we can just kind of do that. Now, if we wanted, let's say we wanted to add just a little bit more color. Let's get this blue again, and we'll make some more purple. Let's just kind of stir it up. I like to mix colors. It's fun to me. Look at that. That's a pretty purple, isn't it? Give it a little taparoo, and let's wet this again. Careful not to touch what's already wet because it will bleed. But let's re-wet this part, right? You can easily always do that. You can always re-wet what you're working on. So let's say I wanted to add just a hint of pink here. I would just pick up a little bit of pink and just drop some in. If that's too dark, guess what? You can just lift it up like a little eraser. Isn't that fun? Okay. Put a little bit there. Look at that. How fun. Okay, hold on. It's not, and I think that's, sorry y'all, that's the thing. Oop, I missed some of that pencil line. I feel like that's it's the fun part of watercolor, but it's also the frustrating part of watercolor, right? And then I've wet it, so I'm like, I think I need a highlight. So let me just pick up a little bit of paint here and here because it's starting to bleed out a little bit. And then we'll just add a small amount of color right here. There we go. And we can wet the brush, clean it, clean, damp brush. And then we can just blend this part out. Look at that. See how that's starting to bleed? It's because I touched, look at that. I touched it. So easy peasy to clean up. Just take a damp brush and clean it up. And then we'll put fussing with it. Look at that. It does look like a popsicle. It sure does. Okay, so now let's add some shadow to our popsicle stick. I'm going to go in more paint, less water, same brush, and I'm just going to create a shadow. This is going to be wet on dry. So basically all I'm doing is I'm just following this line to create my shadow. And then we're probably going to have a little bit of shadow here. And look, oh my gosh, it's bleeding into my popsicle, but it's okay. You know how to stop that. Clean your brush, tap it on your paper towel, and pick it up. And then that line is looking rather harsh, right? So I'm just going to take my brush, tap it, and then just blend it out. Just smooth that line out. See, then you have a shadow. And if I want a little bit more, I can just boop, boop, boop. Take a little bit of this brown and just tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. Rinse my brush, tap it on my paper towel, and clean it up. Look at that, just blend it out. Easy peasy, y'all. Okay, cool. Now that has just become a whole disaster, hasn't it? We're gonna fix that. Okay, so we're gonna take our number 6, or smaller brush. It's gonna be clean, and I'm just gonna take my brush and I'm gonna wipe this up like so, okay? And then I'm gonna take a little bit of this pink that I got here, and I'll put it in a separate well, get it a little wet, not a whole lot of water. Can you see the consistency? It's a little bit thicker, and then I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna tap it in here like that, just to kind of get my line back. See how that bled out? That is wet on wet. And then I can just blend it. Okay, not too bad, right? Okay, and then the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take some of this blue. We're gonna mix some here, and I'm gonna take this purple, this very deep purple that I've created, and I'm gonna create a shadow on the side, right? This is how you're suggesting like where the light shines. So you're just taking a darker color and you're going around the edge like so. Is it perfect? No. I'm gonna rinse my brush, clean water, tap it on my paper towel, and I'm just gonna make sure it's damp but not wet and just blend it out. Blend, 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 blend. Look at that. And it blended out nicely. It doesn't have to be super challenging, okay? All right, the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my long round brush. I'm gonna tap it ever so slightly in water, and I'm gonna pick up some of this pink paint here, and I'm just gonna sharpen these lines, okay? Just sharpen them a little bit. They're gonna kind of be broken, but yeah, just to give them a little bit more shadow, a little bit more depth, as I like to call it. I'm outside of my pencil line, y'all, and that is perfectly fine. Let's see if this is still kind of wet, but let's see how it does. Yeah, that's still kind of wet, but that's okay. We might need to let that part dry a little bit. Yeah, but we can work on this little groove here. I don't usually dry my paintings. I just kind of let like Mother Nature, like, you know, dry out the air in which we are breathing dry my paintings. But a lot of people use hair dryers, so you can let it dry or make it dry, whatever works best for you. But what I'm going to do to kind of help this along is I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to dab it, dab it, dab it like that. And it just picked up some of that wet paint. And then I'm going to pick up a very thick consistency of this pink paint, and I'm going to try to define this little area here. Look at that. It's all freaking da. Okay, and I'm going to, like I said, clean my brush, dab it, and then I just kind of blend these lines just so it's not such a harsh line. All right. And do you see what I'm saying? Like how it drew or dried a little bit lighter. So the last thing I'm going to do for the popsicle stick is I'm going to take some of my Van Dyke brown, which is a darker brown. It's not the prettiest brown. I don't use it. Well, I actually surprisingly use it quite a bit. Don't let me lie to you. And that's dry. So I'm just going to go in with this darker line a little bit more precise, just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension. I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to tap it on my paper towel, and I'm just going to blend it nicely, okay? That's it. Just blend it nicely. And you can do it as frequently as you like. And if you want to add this just to give it a little bit more color, you can do that. And guess what, guys? We painted a popsicle. Is it perfect? No. Was it easy? Yes. So that is just a very quick tutorial on, I don't know if this is quick or not, but a very quick tutorial on how to, you know, again, just doing what was in this book, painting a fun little popsicle. So I hope y'all enjoyed that and that you painted along. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.